Namaste to all. Welcome to the webinar on Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, the dawn of new age entrepreneurship in India. It is presented by Sri Madhusudan Junjunwala, the CEO of GSBS Private Limited, and moderated by me. I'm Dr. Rudra, Chairman for CSD Institution. This is the webinar by GSBS Private Limited and Center for Skill Development, and supported by the educational support partner are My Tutorials. Institution imparting the skill development. It is sponsored by Skill Development Association. And more about the Skill Development Association, you can go to the sda.org.in. And it operates with a principle that dharmena praptasya vriddhi, that is prosperity through righteousness. We have another organization, that is GSBS Private Limited, headed by Sri Madhusudan Junjunwala. The GSBS acronym is Giving Simple Business Solutions, and it operates with the wheel of learning, that is read, think, write, and communicate, with the 5 spokes, that is what, when, where, why, who, and how. And with this principle, it is operating. It is tested with many products, and we have been tasted the success, and we are educating the same. And another platform today we have is My Tutorials. My Tutorials is an online platform from the Tier 1 institutes, is dedicated to the educational and emotional development of children and female population through innovative programs integrated with technology solutions. And the My Tutorial services includes the online counseling for females for the issues ranging from adolescent problems, health and hygiene, to anxiety due to financial and environmental issues. And the My Tutorials also operates the coachings for the children from at the school and the senior secondary level, and also does the tech preparations. And it is My Tutorials is supported by the experienced team of the professionals and certified psychologists to render the services on time, online on a real-time basis. And all professionals are experienced from the Tier 1 universities, and all counselors are certified. It is, you can see Mr. Basu, who heads the My Tutorials platform, and
Good morning, everyone.
I'm Dr. Rudra. In fact, I'm double doctorate. I did my PhD in supply chain management and post PhD in skill development. I hold 2 decades of experience, a decade in the industry in the pharma and education, decade in the academia, and I'm associated with universities like Osmania, JNTU, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Andhra University, Adikavi Nannaya University, and I spent half a decade in hybrid of academia and industry, understood the dynamics there, and trying to explore that. And I have a chance to institute double institution, that is Skill Development Association and Center for Skill Development. And I'm in my current position, I'm an exemplary mentor with Atal Innovation Mission, which is by the NITI Aayog Government of India. And I hold the position of President in Institutional Innovation Council, instituted by Ministry of HRD Government of India. And I've been a visiting professor and professor emeritus at multiple universities. And that is brief about me. Now I have my guru, my mentor, Mr. Madhusudan Junjunwala. He is the CEO of GSBS Private Limited, and you can see him on the screen. And he is a professional manager turned entrepreneur with 3 decades of experience. And enterprise value creation and profit through sustainable, principled, and simple means have been his credo. And he believes and practices that no problem ever exists without a solution, and a problem is an opportunity to develop an organization. And he is BTech honors from IIT Kharagpur, and MS in mechanical engineering and energy processes from Southern Illinois University, USA. He is associated with Videocron Group in the capacity of Chief Operating Officer and Vice President, GLPro as President, Usha Martin Industries, Steel Authority of India Limited, Pest Control India, MSCP Steel and Power, Ester Industries, and International Conveyors. He attended several workshops and trainings in globally, and to name few, he has attended in a prestigious Harvard Business School, and he undergone the coaching with business process reengineering, and he has done his Six Sigma at Samsung, Malaysia, and also trained in the intermediate adoption of intermediate technologies in Russia. And his means of simplicity means achieving the maximum effect with the minimum means, and profitability is an art of achieving maximum surplus using minimum resources. And we are happy to have him here. And now I welcome Sri Madhusudan Junjunwala to this forum along with educational partner or my tutorials. Now I hand over the floor to Sri Madhusudan Junjunwala. Over to you, sir. And I welcome you to present the seminar on Atmanirbhar Bharat, a dawn of new age entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Rudra, and good morning to all of you. I am indeed grateful to all the attendees who are here today on a Sunday forenoon, and I can really, my heart knows no bound how grateful I am to all of you. So the next 30 to 40 minutes that I would like to spend with you, sharing my views on one of the burning, critically important issues in any country, in any society, in any individual lives is Atmanirbharta. My objective of this presentation is not to feed you with the plethora of information and knowledge which all of you have, but rather to create a context for reflection. If I have a view on this topic, I think millions and millions others have it too. But having a view does not solve a problem. And Atmanirbharta is supposed to be a solution to a problem, and hence it has acquired importance once again. Therefore, when millions of brains will think, minds will think, and they will come together, they will create a solution the society needs. And therefore, the objective of this webinar today is to bring together people and their thoughts on why and how Atmanirbharta can be built in India, which has been given as a vision by our Honorable Prime Minister. For me, Atmanirbharta, the way I look at it, is a dawn of a new age entrepreneurship. I will explain to you in the course of my webinar that when I say it's a dawn of a new age entrepreneurship, what does it mean? When we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, a few questions come to our mind. Well, is this a dream or a vision? Or is it a slogan or an inspiration? Is it old wine in a new bottle? Is it regressive or transformational? Is it a need or compulsion? Is it realistic or chimerical? It is autonomy or interdependence? Is it local and global? I think there could be many more questions added to this list. In part or in full, they can come to our mind, and they need to be answered if we really need to adopt and go with the mission of Atmanirbhar Bharat. In my personal view, basically it is all of them. But certainly, it is not a chimera. It is a dream. Everybody dreams, but very few people achieve, very few societies achieve. Atmanirbharta is the basic condition for affluence and progress of any society. And when we say Atmanirbhar, we mean the Atmanirbhar Nagarik. And it's only through Atmanirbhar Nagarik, Atmanirbhar Samaj and Atmanirbhar Rashtra can be built. And only the Atmanirbhar Samaj is a sustainable society. Atmanirbharta does not mean it is dependence. or freedom for dependence. Basically, Atmanirbharta, in my view, is a spirit of entrepreneurship. It is a process of self-discovery. It is basically interdependence. It is shunning dependence. It is freedom from dependence. But certainly, it is a process of discovery of oneself. It is the process of discovery of one's freedom. It is the process of discovery of entrepreneurship spirit in all of us. Recently, and for last couple of months, the whole world has been going through the pandemic, what we call COVID-19, and it's not yet over. But the totality of change, right from our thinking process to way we respond to issues, it has brought about in the documented history, known knowledge of this mankind, there has not been such a catastrophe or event which has been so powerfully capable of unleashing the kind of change that we are talking about. And it is in this background of COVID-19 that Atmanirbhar Bharat has been given by our Honorable Prime Minister as a mission to transform the country. What is the PM, what call he has given? He has called it a self-reliant India movement. There are 5 pillars of this: economy, infrastructure, system, vibrant demography and demand. Then it is said that this is equivalent to the 10% of our GDP, close to about 20 lakh crore rupees. And interestingly, it is unique in many ways. For the first time, there's a program at this nature, of this size and this scale, has been rolled out by the government, where the focus are the micro, medium, small enterprises, the laborers, the middle class, the industry, the cottage industry. They are at the focus of this self-reliance movement, because even Mahatma Gandhi felt a self-reliant society is not possible unless we focus on the base of the pyramid, which is constituted by SMEs, by cottage industry, laborers, middle class, and so on and so forth. Because that is where the demand gets created for an economy, the economy becomes vibrant, then you have to develop infrastructure, then you have to create a system to meet and those demands. But nevertheless, in order to do such things, to facilitate, an ecosystem needs to be created. We have got historical baggages. We have to adapt ourselves to new realities. And therefore, bold reforms are required to be done and carried out across the society in terms of legal affairs, the way business is done, the way people work, and so on and so forth. So bold reforms. And then, can we really be self-reliant only when we depend on the overseas market? The question is, can you be globally strong if you are not locally strong? Think about it. I think you can't be. An Audi is an Audi because it is sold, accepted, and became a brand in Europe. And then that brand got accepted. And similarly, if Indians have to be successful, they have to build a brand of their own. But a brand is not about ownership. Brand is about creating a product which gives and serves the purpose of the end user. Brand is the identity and personality of the service and the product that you present to somebody which one uses. So here, once to just recapitulate, Atmanirbhar Bharat, it has got 5 pillars: economy, infrastructure, demand, vibrant demography, and system. They are more mutually reinforcing each other, and together they will create, build an Atmanirbhar Bharat. And at this Atmanirbhar Bharat, at its focus lies all the MSMEs, cottage industries, middle class. It is this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is unique in the sense that it is different from the sense in the sense that in the past, when we talk about a financial package, we only spoke about the large industries, the large corporate houses, business houses, and not adequate attention was paid for the health and well-being of the MSMEs, cottage industries, which actually create majority of employment, most of the employment, not in India, but all across the globe, and they create a real demand at all levels. That's what drives. So for the first time, very openly and very vocally, we have a government which has identified and recognized this need. The trigger could have been maybe COVID, trigger could have been something else. That's not an issue. But the point is, yes, we need an Atmanirbhar Bharat. An Atmanirbhar Bharat can be built by focusing on all these various pillars, by these pillars and these constituents. Then how do we achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat? I mean, what is that we need to do? The question is how. So please understand, as I told you, a country, a Bharat, it has got three components: Atmanirbhar economy, Atmanirbhar Nagrik, Atmanirbhar Samaj. And how does a Nagrik become Atmanirbhar? When he acquires an education which is solution centric. When he acquires an education which makes him employable. When he acquires an education which enables him to create an employment. Because only when you have a capability to either be employable or create an employment, education can serve its purpose, immediate purpose to the economy. And therefore, education to solution is required for building and creating an Atmanirbhar Nagrik. Technological revolution creates Atmanirbhar Samaj. You could not have thought of an integrated society the way we are today. Globally, we have become an integrated global village because of technology. The barriers have broken. They have been dismantled because of technology. So therefore, technology revolution brings about an Atmanirbhar Samaj. An entrepreneurial revolution creates an Atmanirbhar economy. So therefore, in order to create and build an Atmanirbhar Bharat, we need entrepreneurial revolution, technological revolution, and an education system which enables us to produce and create solutions. So here I will briefly discuss with you education to solution, a holistic approach. What does it mean? Well, at the solution, core lies the solution, and solution is basically solving society's problems. Namely, people should get livelihood, people should have enough to eat and live and prosper, require their needs according to the Maslow law. And this is done when all the various factors who are integrated and connected with each other through education, they work together. Namely, teacher, the student, professional, politician, entrepreneur. So they come together to create a solution. And therefore, when I say education to solution, education has to serve this purpose, create this bonding and mutual reinforcement. They have to basically send a message what solution has to be created. Then it is basically either an ability to create employment or ability to be employable. And then everybody has to play a role. A bureaucrat has to play his role, a politician has to play his role, and education has to make them understand that what roles they have to play. And then these people together have to create an ecosystem whereby everybody is able to do one's own role. Atmanirbhar Samaj is seeking that solution. Then Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and technology challenges. Well, I'll tell you today, no change is possible without technology. We have seen, we have been continuously in a real-time basis updated about the pandemic. Every moment, how many people are getting infected. Just to give an example, globally, 213 country information is on your tip. The conventional sources of information like print media and all, they are lagging behind. You have the information even before they get the information. And it's all because of technology. So the world has become so close. You can't think of a transformation and Atmanirbhar society without technology. Technology is a part of us. From bullock cart, we have come to a handheld devices, and even today what we are doing, a digital conferencing. Technology impacts economy, business, national, global, everything. Its impact right from the conception of technology till today in its far more complex form is immense. And we all experience it. But then just have a look. What is this? I think you all know. Then what is this? What is this? So basically, you have seen in last 4 to 5 slides the evolution of technology from a purely manual grinder to a high-tech stuff such as a digital conferencing. Now, very successful and developed countries in Europe, they have gone through the phases of industrial evolution in a proper and a systematic manner. But in India, that evolution has not happened with so much of a consistency and a logical approach. And as a result, we are at different stages of technology even in our own country. You can see the disparity, technological disparity between the various states, between the various villages, between the various cities. And as a result of that, the whole imbalance gets created in the society, whether in the form of earning, consumption, spending, maybe infrastructure or whatever it is. And if such imbalances are there, a society cannot become Atmanirbhar, it cannot become progressive. So for us, the challenge is how to cover this gap in the shortest possible time. We do not have a luxury today of achieving in 50 years what the world did in 50 years or maybe 100 years. Perhaps that has to be done in maybe a few months, few years. So much of a time, and that is possible. It requires a will, it requires an education system, it requires a collective approach, it requires a leadership, it requires a vision, it requires a faith, it requires basically a belief in yourself, which is entrepreneurship and self-discovery. Gentlemen, today we have to migrate to the fourth industrial evolution, what we call Industry 4.0, of which the examples are like digital governance and digital meeting, digital webinar. But still the fact is in our country, we are still having man-drawn rickshaws and our agriculture is still very, very primitive. So unless we bring the whole country, whole society to one single unified platform, perhaps we would not be able to realize our dream of Atmanirbharta. And if you're not Atmanirbhar, we will have to be Nirbhar on somebody else. And if we are Nirbhar on somebody else, then we know what is going to happen. So basically, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, first step, in my opinion, towards the entrepreneurial revolution India needs. Yes, India needs an entrepreneurial revolution. Apart from industrial revolution. Please understand there's a difference between entrepreneurial revolution and industrial revolution. Entrepreneurial revolution is basically a society in which individuals look what entrepreneurship is all about, to restore the pride in entrepreneurship. Industrial revolution can facilitate that, but entrepreneurial revolution is basically a socio-psychological issue. So once again, just to recap, because I have to come back to these slides time and again to explain to you the vision of the Prime Minister: economy, infrastructure, system, demography, then what are the sectors which are going to benefit, and then what is this Atmanirbhar Abhiyan doing? It is creating a stronger democracy. It creating a stronger federal structure, a stronger entrepreneurial ecosystem, accountability and delivery, and opportunities for all. When I say a federal structure, just imagine when one day, like Aadhaar, you are going to have one nation, one card for mobility, for a PDS system, the way you have Jan Dhan Abhiyan, all those things today which have been done in the last couple of years actually has become our savior in the crisis of pandemic. This pandemic could have been disastrous for us, but for some of the initiatives which were taken up last year, thanks to technology, thanks to the will of the government, maybe this time tackling this pandemic became rather simpler for us. And hence, this Abhiyan has to be taken forward to once again, strengthen and reinforce the democratic principle, federal structure, strengthen the entrepreneurial ecosystem, accountability and delivery at all levels, and opportunity for all. Now, here I would like to talk about, since I'm talking about entrepreneurship, let me talk about the MSMEs. In my opinion, MSME in a nation or a society's economy are what cells are in a human body. MSME in a nation's or society's economy are what cells in a human body. Everything else in an economy is everything else that constitutes a human body but the cells. MSME is our cell. A large enterprise could be our cerebral system. Government could be our arteries, could be functioning, but the cell of the body, the foundation, they are like a brick in a building. So a stronger cell, like in a human body, like a stronger brick in a wall and a castle, can only support that structure. MSMEs also have to be strengthened that way. And the next slide will show you what is its importance across the world. Here is the global picture. If you look at it, all the countries globally, they are having a very, very strong MSME foundation. Globally, 97% of units are falling into the MSME sector. They create the maximum employment. They create the maximum innovation. They are the conductors of entrepreneurship in the whole society. They create skill sets. Today's multinational corporations are yesterday's MSMEs or some ideas generated from those workshops. Today, those MSMEs have taken the form of a startup, but it's a startup anyway. Some startups become big because they get acquired or they acquire a size. Rest of the MSMEs are providing the support to the large global enterprises of today. So without MSME, an economic structure cannot be imagined, cannot be sustained. Large enterprises, if you look at their reality, the total vendor base depends on the MSME network and efficiencies. The most successful enterprises have given lot of protection and guidance to the MSMEs under them. But most other big enterprises could not do that. And therefore, in our country, MSME sector remained neglected, whether it was by the government or the banking system or even the treatment at the hands of the large enterprises, whether it came to giving a business, whether it came to basically making a payment, or whether it even came coming to getting certain priorities and privileges, and hence they suffered. And our MSME structure remained weak. Majority of sickness has been found there, and hence our economy remained dependent and vulnerable. Atmanirbhar Bharat is about changing all that. When we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think we need to look at two of the most important points of global activity, whether in the sphere of politics or economics. They have become the focus of the entire world. China has been in news of late for a lot of right and wrong reasons. But the fact is, the Chinese liberalization started way back in 1978, when they were also a communist society, no democracy, purely agrarian economy. 40 years thence, the China has come to dominate the global supply chain. Despite the fact it had no entrepreneurial background, at least for the period of the communist China for 50, 60 and odd years. There was no entrepreneurial drive, and today China controls the global supply chain. Today, the world is realizing their helplessness because they made China so much dominant, or rather they became so dependent on China for their own reasons that now they are realizing their folly. They are realizing the mistake. But why do we blame China? The world gave them an opportunity and China cashed on it, despite all its limitations. So much so that 40 years down the line, I would just give an example that in 10 years' time, China has been able to build a 29,000 kilometer long bullet train network running almost at zero speed, zero accident rate. Pan China, 85% of this is on elevated tracks like these bridges. All these have been built in 10 years. 2005, they had zero bullet train. Whereas in India, if you look, in since 1947 till today, we have hardly built 20,000 of route kilometer rail network in close to 70 years. So the question is, life is all about learning from your rivals, learning from your competitors, learning from the best that is around. So when India is looking to become an alternative supply chain to China, then we must learn from all our peers. What did they do right and what they did not do? However, I must tell you that during the COVID times, India has shown remarkable resilience. From a country ill-prepared to tackle the COVID challenge, so far by the grace of God, good leadership, and extremely fantastic spirit and cooperation of people, we have been able to keep this beast under control. That has been a self-discovery. What are we capable of? This country had no PPE manufacturing before the COVID started. In 3 months, there are 300 and odd PPE manufacturing organizations across the country, so much so that it never became a crisis. We did innovation. Our leadership showed the examples of innovation that we need not use a surgical mask. We can even go back to our old pride of using and covering and things what we were doing. We have restored our old glory and past. And as if it was not all, then we had many other catastrophes like Amphan, Nisarga, the typhoon, gas leak, migrant crisis, labor. All these have come together. We have had our failures, we have had our success, but all said and done, we all know collectively we have been able to put a good show. And if this is what we as a nation and a society are capable of putting in 3 months' time, I think if a good leadership with a good vision, if we come together, this country can be transformed. Atmanirbhar Bharat, the vision has come today, but to achieve this, an ecosystem has been being built for quite some time. If we look at some of the initiatives, all are not covered here, but this would give you a sense. I'm talking about Make in India. Now, Make in India has to become a brand like Made in China. We can do that. Now, you see how the participation of people has been happening in this country's ecosystem building for last maybe 6-7 years. Innovation. I think during the COVID times, DRDO and CSIR and many of our automobile companies, they just got into the business of making sanitizers, like, alcohol beverages, these companies. They started making sanitizers. They started making these gloves, PP, all this textile industry. Within months' time, within weeks' time, they changed and adapted themselves to a scarcity, to a crisis, and they delivered wonderful results. That was an example of innovation. Give it up. In this country, people came forward to give up their subsidies in millions so that people could benefit. That was the spirit of contribution. Government created Startup India, Stand Up India for women, and then Skill India, then cleansing the bankruptcy system. Then Digital India. So all these, demonetization, ease of business, Mudra Bank, Jan Dhan account, insolvency, GST, all this has created a greater level of participation by the citizens, by the entrepreneurs, and prepared for us similarly, opportunities have been created. Smart cities, housing for all, infrastructure, then river linking. All these are the opportunities which are in the field of infrastructure building, system building, entrepreneurship building, and they will go a long way to create that entrepreneurship culture in our own country. Waste management, renewable energy, water conservation, and where government has focused are the sectors where maximum MSMEs, entrepreneurship, opportunities will be created, where maximum employment will be created, where investment will be made into creating the fixed assets. It will be a departure from the past, where consumption was basically a solution for triggering the economy. This time, government has decided that we should rather go for the developmental route and create a sustainable infrastructure which enterprises can be built, systems can be built, on cities can be built so that our urban centers can be, their loads can be reduced. I think a probable picture of economy in the post-COVID times looked like this, that some of the industries like tourism, aviation, automotive, construction, manufacturing, financial services, higher education abroad, oil and gas, agriculture, some of these would rather slow down, not agriculture exactly, But yes, agriculture in the own way, medical supplies, food processing, personal and health, ICT, e-commerce, they will be the industries of the future. And all these industries have tremendous potential for giving birth to medium, small, micro enterprises. Majority of industries, what we see on the left, either they are yellow, brown, and red, they are financially capital intensive industries. Capital intensive industries would not be preferred. What would be preferred is the capital light industry, which can create immediate employment for our people and address the immediate need of people. Today, a very potent need of people which has been discovered, not a housing, not a cloth, but health and hygiene, the health facility, the health care, the supply chain, the hygienic food, the nutrient food, our immune system. So our total sociological habit, psychological habit is going to change, and this also is going to redraw the picture of our economy. You know, our finance minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, while declaring this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, has told that the lessons of 2008 and 13 guided the COVID stimulus. The package has been guided by the lessons of 2008 and 13. In 2008 and 13, in deciding those packages, experts played a role. In this, grassroots experience is playing the role. Experts wanted to give a simplistic solution. Experienced people give simple solution, and that is the difference. And one thing has emerged very clearly, and which is the need and a condition, precondition for self-reliance. जीवन की आवश्यकताओं को न्यूनतम की ओर ले जाना, यही आत्मनिर्भर भारत की पहली सीढ़ी होगी. We will have to reprioritize our necessities and needs. We will have to see that whether the entire society is able to afford its basic needs or not before thinking of luxuries. We all know in these COVID times, what were the things that were important for us? It was not a house, it was not a car. It was a safety, hygiene, health, a surgical mask. What is going to, because this enemy was invisible. It was there everywhere. You could not see it. All your priorities, you had money, but you could not fly in planes. You had gold, but you could not demonstrate it because there were no social functions. So I think such a lesson, if this is missed out from our lives, loss is going to be ours. And somebody said, dear PM, India needs Sahyog more than Atmanirbharta. The gentleman should know Atmanirbharta is Sahyog only, which I have told you is interdependence. These are some of the things which is going to be done. Panchayats are going to become industry clusters under this Abhiyan. 3 lakh crore collateral free automatic loans are being given. 9.25 is the rate. MSME policy is being drafted. And in fact, import substitution policy is coming in this country. What I understand from my friends, today we have been totally dependent on import of our defense requirement, and we have to become now under the new policy a net defense exporter. Our manufacturing policy is going to come up. Our logistic policy is going to come up. So basically the way we have been thinking and doing business, it has to change. Actually, perhaps India would have become self-reliant by now. But for the 4 decades in which we chose to jettison our own manufacturing and became dependent on China. When manufacturers in this country became traders, normal processes, traders become manufacturers and manufacturers become mega manufacturers. But in our case, with the rise of China, we chose to depend on China for our whatever reasons be. And today what has happened is, what our manufacturing capability should have been now, we missed that opportunity. Today, COVID has given us another opportunity in terms of the people across the globe realizing that the global supply chains have to be redefined, India stands to gain, but it is not going to be automatic. There are many contenders today. Unlike four decades before, when China was the only possible alternative for people, today there are many. There is Singapore, there is a Vietnam, there is the Philippines, Malaysia. So many countries are there, where the countries have an option to go to relocate their supply chain. And mind you, in future there is not going to be one supply chain anyway. It is going to be distributed. Not too many as they were in the past. Some of the supply chains are going to go back to Europe because of the Industry 4.0. So therefore, let us not be complacent and take things for granted that India happens to be the natural alternative to China. I'm sorry, it is not. Let us not make that mistake. See, we can do China bashing publicly, it's all right. But internally think and just compare and see where we have made mistakes. Let us not repeat them. So government is doing all that it can, but two things have changed. This time, government is using technology to give loans to people. Banks are coming forward. In fact, the State Bank of India in one day has disbursed 3,000 crores of loans. But people are not ready to borrow because they are becoming more responsible. There was a time when people borrowed money from the government knowing that this money need not be returned. Today they know government has a mechanism to recover this money. Now this transformation is going to take our society entrepreneurially a long, long way. The success of the insolvency and bankruptcy code by which we were able to recover around 2 to 2.5 lakh crore of NP of 8 crores was a big savior during the pandemic. Because of that IBC, our banks did not collapse. We had enough supply chain, we had enough supply of money in the system. So the point is, India is changing. But governments can only play and should have a limited role. India, like China, is a country of 140 crore people. One thing which came in the mind of the Chinese leadership after the collapse of communism, that it is not possible to feed 140 crore people on the exchequer of a state. A state cannot give employment to all of them. So people have to find and fend for themselves. They have to be employable, and the people have to create employment for others. So for them, entrepreneurship became a necessity. It became a need. I think India has always stood at that juncture. Once again, it is facing the same challenge, and it is well prepared to do that. Let us not get carried away and misguided by the people with vested interest. Please remember, purpose of education is to make you employable, is to make you earn livelihood with dignity. Purpose of education is to regulate the wealth of distribution of wealth in the society. It is not to create concentration of wealth in certain pockets, in certain hands. The purpose of education gets lost if that happens. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat requires an Atmanirbhar Nagrik. It can be facilitated only when education creates a solution. Technology revolution helps us bridge the gap and try to catch up for the time that has been lost. It's not going to be so easy. And we need an entrepreneurial system to build an Atmanirbhar economy, and hence this country requires an entrepreneurial revolution. And then one day we will be having a great demand, a vibrant economy, good infrastructure, strong systems, whether the federal system, oral system, digital system, or legal system, or whatever, and then a vibrant demography. We will have realized our dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat. With this, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. And what I wish to say here is we can actually work together. Ours is an organization which helps people build their skills. We can work together to build your enterprises of your dreams. Thank you very much for attending this presentation.
Thank you, sir. It has been a wonderful presentation, and there is an active participation from the participants also. A couple of questions also has been put in the public chat. and I'll take up one or two which I felt, a couple of opinions also been expressed by a couple of professors, academicians, and I think I take initially one two opinions of the participants. Yeah, I think it's an opinion by Professor K. Bhanuprakash sir. He felt like infuse entrepreneurship spirit, instill entrepreneurship awareness amongst the Gen XYZ, and make up entrepreneurial class is the need of the hour and the cornerstone of the. And also, it is requested by Dr. Dubey also to share this PPT, or it can be made available in the YouTube. He felt it is quite informative. I think as it is. We certainly put this video in the YouTube, Professor Dubey, and we have the prior series also. In fact, it's a continuation of our first presentation. It is New Age Entrepreneurship. The series, the second, is Atmanirbhar Bharat, a new dawn for New Age Entrepreneurship. And one two questions also. I wish you should take it up, sir.
I'll
Uh,
take I'll take
yeah,
it.
I think it is by Dr. Paritosh Dubey. Don't you think that many projects in the past have been delayed in the grab of social activism, raising their original cost and delaying their benefits? Example, Sardar Sarovar Dam, and he also felt, should there be a ban on the pseudo social activism or sacrifice of you in front of larger interest in underlying the principle? So,
I,
your
I,
opinion on this?
I'm very, very happy. First of all, my grateful thanks to Dr. Bhanu Prakash and Mr. Dubey. I'm grateful. Mr. Bhanu Prakash, your views are indeed commendable, sir, and very much in sync with the spirit of discussion that we are having. I hope we continue our association and discussion through email, maybe in whichever manner. I would definitely love to associate. Coming back to what Dr. Uh, Dubey has told, yes, please understand, governments have a limitation. Governments are always at the firing side or the receiving side. I mean, I have got a different view here. What I want to say, the governments at one point of time, maybe in the Middle Ages, or maybe early 1800, 1700, they used to be authoritarian. But the point is, you see, a benevolent dictatorship started where the welfare of people was at the center. Now, what has happened? The pseudo intellectualism has become a business. The point is, you always try to take up, follow a soft route, basically to foster and prepare and promote your agenda. And I think only when people across the country they rise up against this pseudo intellectualism, which of course social media has enabled doing that. There's a lot of awareness, and that is why you are seeing the media it's losing its relevance. So what I feel that it will be a process. This with more and more aware and contributing and participative citizenry, with more and more people becoming employable, with more and more people understanding the complexity of a problem, I think this country is going to come out of those problems sooner than later. This is what I feel. There's no need to ban. If you ban, then there's again those groups are also very, very powerful. We can render them irrelevant. Today, let us understand. I mean, when many things come to me, initially I was entertaining all the WhatsApp. Now 90% of the WhatsApp I don't bother. So how can we educate our country that what they should look at and what they should not look at? Again, differentiation between essential and non-essential. This pseudo intellectualism is not required across the globe to tell the government what we want. There's a flat hierarchy. Technology has made it possible. Technology has made it possible that the governments can be overthrown and replaced just by people directly. You don't need an intermediary. So I feel, yes, your point is very, very valid. But sir, no need to ban. No need to ban. They let them get exposed, and they're getting exposed today. The very fact that you are raising this question is only because of that frustration. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They always have a double speak. And I said, we don't need experts. We need experience. And the experts have hijacked, whether as economists, whether it's whatever it is. People are talking about 2.5 trillion package. Are the packages the solution? Give me a country, give me a society where packages have delivered, financial packages have been delivered what they're supposed to do. Do you know in America, when the recession happened in 2008, the corporate honchos took the chartered flight to ask for a package? Is this the way a responsible entrepreneur is supposed? We need responsible entrepreneurship. And I think entrepreneurship is the national duty. Sarvajan Husai, Bahujan Hitay, Bahujan Sukhay. Sarvajan Hitay, Bahujan Hitay, Bahujan Sukhay. What we learned from Upanishad is the ethos. That is entrepreneurship. Minimize your needs to create maximum surplus so that that surplus is available to the society. This is what our forefathers have taught. This is what the Vedas have taught. And I think it should happen. And there are people who are doing this, not only in India. If you talk about Bill Gates, yes, if you talk about Warren Buffett, if you talk about Narayan Murthy, there are people who have risen beyond the personal agenda. I think we need to take this movement across the country on a larger scale to every individual. I hope I answered your question.
That's wonderful, sir. I think, Mr. Dubey responded by saying by thanking you for softly emphasizing the irrelevancy, but ban, and I think he felt it's a good case for it also. And with this, sir, I think we are came to an end of this wonderful webinar on the right topic, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, a new dawn of entrepreneurship. You can reach to us by, you can know more about our organization, gsbsonline.in, and also for the skill development, and it is sda.org.in, and you can write to us, and also you can access the my tutorials, mytutorials.co.in. You can, all the academicians can feel, because why we have taken this My Tutorials platform, because just to demonstrate our Atmanirbharta. In fact, not to criticize, as Madhusudan sir was telling, let us learn from our peers and what they have done right. We can learn from China. In fact, we have been using the GoToWebinar, and we have been using the Zoom in our earlier webinars. And this time we are with our Atmanirbharta, the Indian-made, Indian-grown portal, My Tutorials. So you can use this platform. This platform has been hassle-free. And we are with GSBS and CSD, we are here to support the entrepreneurial activity in your institutions. You can sensitize the students and also your entrepreneurship development cells. Our support will be there, and this video will be made available in the YouTube soon from all the three organizations. And now, in fact, this presentation is made available in 3 languages. Now, morning we have it in the English, and 4 to 5 p.m. we have it in the Hindi. The same portal, same link you can access. We can have the pure Hindi by Mr. Madhusudan Junjunwala, and also from 5 to 6 it is in the Telugu. So language is not the barrier. In fact, we applied the design thinking principle to bring out in more languages, and many more languages we are going to come slowly in the Bengali, or in the Kannada or Malayalam or Tamil in the days to come. So with this, we thank you everyone who has joined this webinar, and your feedback is more essential. The feedback forms will be sent to your email IDs. You can please fill them up, and we reciprocate with our comments, and we hope we look forward for your association in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thanks. Namaste.